all for the time being. If you don't have any questions, feel free to ask even personal questions.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Hamdy. So, I think we have to introduce ourselves to our that is on time for Halakwat with Ibrahim. So, we didn't mention about the topic yet. So,
don't worry, I give him.
oh, you
He's my boss in topics and discussion. I have many bosses in here. Not to mention one at home and how many ones at the masjid, you know, the financial officer at the masjid and another boss in here to tell me what to do. And once in a while, Brother Yuri also passes me around and say, we need you for the halaqah, be ready, be prepared. And I will ask you on the spot, you know, the topic you're going to talk about. So, Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Praise be to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I do witness that there is no God but really one worthy of worship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the prophet and messenger and the seal of all prophets and messengers. Peace and mercy upon all of them. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan. Sister Machine, bringing your kids with you and being a wonderful host to our dear sister here. This is part of our happiness to see you around. Alhamdulillah. For the young ones, Allah Jazakallah khairan, and for being with us. We do not ignore you, we do not put you aside. It is really great to have all of you with us. The topic, you know, many topics, subhanAllah, I mean, we can address, but since we are in the spirit of Hajj, pilgrimage, especially some of us who have already performed Hajj, some of us are planning, inshallah, in the near future or the far future to perform Hajj. So I found out that, you know, it would be really wise to look at the concept of Hajj in a different way somehow. I do not want to repeat what you have already known, what your knowledge is about Hajj, but I would like to emphasize some specific concepts when it comes to Hajj, because I'm afraid that though we are 1.6 billion Muslims, every year more than 3 million perform Hajj at the fifth pillar of Islam, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained upon us. But I'm afraid that, as I mentioned in the last Friday sermon, 3 or 4 of them were talking about that concept. Even last night when we were celebrating one of our Bosnian parents, Brother Riyad and his wife Hanukkah going to Hajj, we have a wonderful celebration last night. And I was talking about the concepts of Hajj and any other concept related to it, but in more depth and in more of understanding how can we relate to Hajj. It is not just I have the money and have a reservation to go to Hajj with a group of people. I can afford it as long as this is what Islam is telling me to do. As long as you can financially afford it, apply and go to Hajj and perform rites and rituals. Have the visa from the Saudi embassy. Be with a wonderful group. Be in Al-Haram Makki to perform rites and rituals, and from there, either before or after, be in Al-Haram Nabawi in Medina and enjoy being there with millions and millions, and then come back without even thinking in depth what I have accomplished. Spiritually speaking, it is beyond anyone's imagination. Whether we have the knowledge or not about Hajj, once you're there in those holy places, you find your heart, your mind, your soul very, very strongly connected with the places. If you add into it people like Sayyidina Muhammad and the Sahaba, And you can imagine when I'm walking at that spot there, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to walk in this spot, or some of the Sahaba used to walk there. When you go to Maqam Ibrahim or Sa'i to Safa and Marwa and the Tawaf around the Kaaba, it is really great to think of the Hajj in depth. See how we can relate to it. And for those who have performed Hajj, they will be a wonderful witness to say, yeah, we have been in this place, but we never thought about it this way. Today we'll be learning, inshallah. Or I have performed those rites and rituals, but I have never thought about it. Or I have done such and such, but I do not know why. Why I have done this? And for what reason? Or reasons? Inshallah, we'll do our best to put a lot of emphasis in much depth about Hajj and all concepts related to it, especially when we think about the concept of sacrifice, either individually or family or in a community. What that concept of sacrifice related to Hajj, or the concept of reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the concept of miracles of Hajj, or the concept of family related to Hajj, or the concept of sabr, being so patient, related to the concept of Hajj. And when it comes to order and commands from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how we be in an absolute obedience to Him in order to manage our life? How can we learn from that wonderful concept? Feel free to stop me anytime, because I know having a lecture presentation before food is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult.
Same thing.
I will do my best to take you away mentally, emotionally, psychologically from the food. If I succeed, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And it would tell me when it comes to the questions and answer session. If you keep asking me many questions, it means that we're not thinking about the food. We're thinking about something to learn from. If I have only one or two max, I say those people are really hungry and they got to rush to food to eat. So either all of you stop me at any point, or Brother Yudi would say, Hamdi, enough of you today, we can manage. Hajj, as we all know, has been ordained upon us as one of the 5 pillars of Islam, like the Shahada and the Salah and Siyam and Zakah. The 5th one, وَحَجُّ الْبَيْتِ لِمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. Perform Hajj if you are financially as well as mentally able to perform Hajj. Do not delay it. Do not wait. Say, inshallah, next year, I have the kids' education, have to save some money, and so on and so forth. Once you have the money, please, Allah, do not delay. Work as hard as you can to go into it. This is your best journey ever in your life. The best spiritual experience ever. And we'll see together. And I have to prove it to you. Performing Hajj, me and my wife, back to 2012, and in the meantime, discussing this concept, and for so many years. Many Muslims do not think of Hajj. How many years back we have to trace it. It is just a matter of apply at the visa, go perform Hajj, come back. Have we ever think about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam related to Hajj? Have we studied his life intensively to look at the concept of sacrifice? He himself, his family, including his father, and his family with Sarah, his wife, and he himself with the second wife, Hajj, and he himself with Ismail alayhi salam, and he himself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he himself with the community, he himself with the king of Iraq at that time, how much of sacrifice Sayyidina Ibrahim had. And hopefully we can learn something from him in order for me to say, I have to sacrifice. But not exactly the way Sayyidina Ibrahim did. Because I cannot, you cannot, none of us can reach that level of sacrifice of Sayyidina Ibrahim. Especially when it comes to his son, order and command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you Ibrahim, in your dream, go slaughter your son. Can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ask me today, as parents, to slaughter my son as a sacrifice? There is no way. But how much of sacrifice I can have, especially for my deen, for myself, for my spouse, for my family, for my children, for my community, and so on and so forth. From the beginning, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam was teenagers, people around here. Raise your hand.
Under.
Teenager, no, joke. Sayyidina Ibrahim, early on in his age, teenager, he decided to sacrifice. How? He looked around, he wasn't a prophet, he wasn't a messenger, no guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he said, where is my Lord? Where is Allah? He can relax and read some books and play some whatever, iPad or chatting, and they do not have such a thing. But he kept asking. Look at the sky, star, this is my Lord. Oh no, it's gone. Could be the moon. Moon is gone. It's not my Lord. Could be the sun. It's much bigger than the moon, but it is gone. But where is my God? Where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Think here of the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your life, when all the time, each and every single, not only minute, but second in your life, ask yourself, who's God? Ain Allah? Who's Allah? What is that concept in my life in order to relate to Him? Not only to mention Him when I have a problem, or a crisis in my life, or a challenge I have to, Ya Allah. Oh God, where are you the rest of your 24/7, 24 hours a day, and 7 days a week? That concept, that's Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. And he could stay at that time because he could not figure it out and say, okay, that's fine. But he looked around, look at his dad, his name is Azar, manufacturing idols to make money out of it, to make his living, to the community. I said, Father, what are you doing? Oh, manufacturing idols, images for the community members to worship. I said, Dad, do they benefit? Do they harm? No, I don't know. I'm not sure. Dad, And not only him, but the community itself, telling them that, challenging them, confronting them, say, you guys, what are you worshiping? Remember, teenager, very young, challenge his father. His father would tell him, Ibrahim, I'm sick and tired of you, get out of my house, go live somewhere else, and I don't have to care about you. But Ibrahim decided to sacrifice. Even with his dad, even with his community. When they could not answer him, he told them, okay, as long as those idols cannot benefit you, cannot harm you, I will destroy all of them in pieces. Ibrahim, are you crazy? How come you challenge the whole community? And you're just a teenager. I said, I will do it, no matter what. And I'm not hiding anything from you. And sometime he went to the place where they kept their idols, and he kept destroying all of them in 2 pieces, except the biggest one among them. He had the axe in his hand, and he put it in his shoulder, and he let say, bye. We'll see you later. All of you destroyed. Community is looking who committed that crime. And they found out easily. It was Ibrahim. Say, Ibrahim, you have done such and such. Ibrahim alayhi salam, at that time, at that age, very smart, and in the meantime did not lie. I said, are you asking me whether I destroyed them or not? But ask them. In كانوا ينطقون, if they can speak up. Ask them. If they can speak up, they can tell you who did this. Or فاسألوا كبيرهم. Ask the biggest one among them, and he would tell you what happened. They figured out it was Ibrahim, and it was the decision from the community. Ibrahim, you will be burned. The order and the command was given, collect as much wood as you can, in piles and piles and piles, in order to reach a size of 3-story building of wood. And Ibrahim will be cast in the middle to be buried. Think of how much sacrifice Ibrahim alayhi salam had. Early on in his life, it does not matter. As long as I believe in something, even without revelation, without teaching, without being a prophet or a messenger, but I'm looking for the truth, and I do not see the truth, idols will never help, will never harm. Even confronting the dad here, I am willing to sacrifice even my life. Casted him in the fire, being there, waiting till he is burned or barbecued or whatever, but he will be gone. At that moment of his life, Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam miraculously came to him, asking him, Ibrahim, you need help? Can I report to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you're in that situation? I can help you? Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam kept quiet all the time, telling Jibreel alayhi salam, he knows the condition I am in. He can decide whatever it is needed to be done. Look at the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did not even tell Jibreel to ask Allah to do something for him, to help him. In the middle of fire, in the middle of fire, yani anyone could ask for any help from anyone. 911. But for Sayyidina Ibrahim, it wasn't 911. It wasn't even Jibreel. It was 111. Allah, Allah, Allah. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord. And that's it. Take it this way in your life. Whatever the challenge is, whatever the problem is, whatever the crisis you're in, first and foremost, before 911, say, Ya Allah. And you will see. Because this is what happened to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. The order and the command coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. But the order and the command from Allah, this fire be totally gone, and you, Ibrahim, have the tranquility and the peace and the comfort, and you're okay. How much of a reward for the sacrifice, and how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would help you when it comes to sacrifice for your deen, for your family, for your spouse, for your children. The reward would be humongous, beyond your imagination, beyond your thoughts. Just do it and leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you for it. That's it. So that's Sayyidina Ibrahim, and out of fire, okay, I'm here. And for anyone who would experience such a thing could say, Ibrahim, enough. You know, you're about to die, go relax and have fun. But I said, no, I will never stop at that point. The king at that time, the community were worshipping him as well as the idols. The king at that time in Iraq. Like today, we have many of them. People are worshipping their own presidents or kings or emir or whatever, subhanAllah. And he said, this time I'm going to challenge the king. Ibrahim, look at the community has done with you. Now it is the king. Yes, I'm determined and I will go to him. King, yes, Ibrahim, I would like to have a debate with you. Ibrahim, who are you, teenager? Have a debate with the king? Yes. Okay, come over, Ibrahim. I say, King, Inna Allah yuhyi wa yumeet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always giving life and death. Can you see the challenge? Allah has been always giving life and death. He created us and we live. When time comes, okay, take our soul and we die. And the king told Ibrahim, easily done. I can also give life and death. And Ibrahim said, how? I said, okay. He gave the order, bring me 2 men in front of me here. two men. I say, one of them, I gave the order earlier for him to be dead. And now I pardon him. So I give him life. King, are you kidding? How about death? Can you make it in one day? So easily. This is the second one. Okay, the order and command. Have him die. They shoot him. See, now this one is dead and this one is alive. Now I can. If your Lord is doing such and such, I can do the same. Of course, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. For Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, okay, be the smartest Muslim ever in this world, especially when it comes to debate, especially debating non-Muslims, especially debating the kafirin, especially when you wanted to prove something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have enough knowledge, even confronting a king or amir or whatever that person is, especially when it comes to the science. Whip yourself with so Sayyidina Ibrahim thought for a while, I said, am I losing this debate? No. I have to keep going. I said, King, I said, yes, Ibrahim, what else? And I said, إن الله يأتي بالشمس من المشرق فأتي بها من المغرب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been always bringing sun from east. Can you bring it from west? I said, sure. No, to the king. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. He was shocked, stunned. He couldn't say anything. He couldn't utter any word. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. Now Ibrahim has proved to the king, saying that, no, you have no authority, you have no say. Here is the universe. Here is the laws of Allah in this universe. He is in absolute control. You're not. Another challenge with the king. And willing to sacrifice himself. If the king gave an order for Ibrahim to be killed, like that guy, give the order to be killed, easily, in a matter of seconds, a bullet would end Ibrahim's life. But for Ibrahim, I am here to debate with you in order to prove you wrong, and the truth is still in the hands of my Lord. That's it. The sacrifice. How you're willing to sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much? Your time, your money, your energy, your effort. How much? Why you always leave the leadership can do such and such? I have nothing to do with it. When we're trying to build a masjid or to sustain it or to maintain it or to establish it or to establish a Muslim school or a Muslim organization, take care of our affairs, some people come forward, but the majority are taking the back seat. Why me? There are much, some other people who are richer than me, they can do it, they can afford it. But for me, I have to save for my kids' education, for my life and so on. We have to sacrifice, brothers and sisters. This deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us as a gift and we have to sacrifice for it. Like Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam did, but not necessarily at that level or that capacity Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam had. As we all know, Sayyidina Ibrahim reached the age of 90, along with Sarah, his wife, but no children. No children. Did they complain? It was just a matter of obedience to the will of Allah and just being patient. Any negotiation between him and Sarah, she felt that the first wife, okay? Ibrahim would love to have a child. She wasn't objection to this idea. She was actually encouraging Ibrahim alayhi salam to have a child. They looked around, they found Hajj alayhi salam. Ibrahim, you can marry Hajj, she's much younger than Sarah, and then you can have a child. And he did. It was the birth of Ismail alayhi salam miraculously. at the age of 90. Ibrahim is, Hajar was younger, but now I have a child. A 90-year-old man can take care of that child. You know, how much of sacrifice also, how much of looking after him, and so on and so forth. Was Ismail there to enjoy, and as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, being a teenager, Ismail, the order and the command coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to Ibrahim in his dream, telling him that, Ibrahim, it is time to slaughter your son Ismail. Ya Allah, this is my only child I had. As a gift, I have to sacrifice him. Yes, Ibrahim. Ibrahim never said no, never complained, never said, why me? You know, we have some other people around, and go to them and say, Ismail heard the order and the command coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibrahim said, what do you think? I'm a child at that age, teenager, of course looking for a wonderful future and a wonderful life, easily to tell him, Baba, Daddy, I deserve to live. What Ismail said in the Quran, Ya abati fa'al ma tu'mar, satajiduni insha'Allah min as-sabirin. My father, do whatever the command and order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to me, and you will find me so patient. Look at the answer. Yani, how much of education we're telling our children when it comes to deen, be obedient to Allah. As long as Allah is saying this under Zaki, whoever the child is, just do what Allah is telling us. But most of the time we have an argument, as we're not teaching them early on in their life to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because maybe sometimes they do not see even us obedient to Allah. We're not that good model, but we have to be a good model for them, as Ibrahim alayhi salam was, and as Sarah was, and as Hajar was. Let's go, Ibrahim, by the mountain, bring the knife, and I'll slaughter you. And they went there and said, okay, you know, fold your eyes and you don't have to look, and I'll slaughter you. The second Sayyidina Ibrahim grabbed the knife, was about to slaughter Ismail, subhanAllah. It was the order and the command coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again with the angel, with the lamb, Ibrahim, this is the sacrifice. You slaughter instead of Ismail alayhi salam. Allahu Akbar. Think of the sacrifice, and think of the miracle, and think of the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani he was about to slaughter his son in an absolute obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're done. So, Ismail alayhi salam alive. And now, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, this is great, this is good. And Ibrahim looking around and thinking, I have Ismail from Hajar, but Sarah is there, my first wife. He's to live his life this way. He never questioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But sometimes when you say, how come Hajar would give birth to Ismail from Ibrahim, while Sarah, the first wife, older, never gave birth? Would it be fair? Just thinking, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered Ibrahim alayhi salam. Just thinking. In order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show Ibrahim, Allah is just adl. He gave the order and the command. Also, beyond the age of 90, from Ibrahim to have Isaac, Ishaq. Look at the sacrifice, and look at the reward, and look at the justice of Allah, and look at the obedience. Even beyond the age of 90, I am able and capable of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give birth to Isaac, Ishaq, from Sarah and Ibrahim, and both to be raised together. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to reward Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Ismail for the obedience. Not only for that lamb to be sacrificed instead of Ismail, but to honor them with something. For both of them. For both of them. What was the reward? Ibrahim and Ismail, you erected, you established the sacred house, the Kaaba in Mecca. And he pointed out to them in this spot. reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the sacrifice, because of the obedience, because of the patience. Because, Ya Allah, tell me what to do, and I'm more than willing to do more and more and more and more. You establish this house, that spot. And by the way, why that particular spot in Mecca for the sacred house to be established? Why not in Medina? Why not in Indonesia? Why not in Egypt? Why that spot in Mecca? Any idea?
Center of universe. Center of universe.
Jazakallah khair, sister. Truly, exactly the center of the whole universe. If NASA would come and tell us no, tell them you're a liar. Because Allah has chosen the center of the universe to be here. Any astronaut, any scientist, any power, any authority, it is the center of the universe. Al-Kaaba in Mecca. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. And by the way, Ibrahim and Ismail erected that cubic Al-Kaaba there, the same size we see today. But how come two people, a dad and a son, would establish the same dimension, wallahi by millimeter? How much of wood, how much of cement, how much of iron, how much of whatever Allah is guiding them. Ismail, teenager, is helping Ibrahim alayhi salam establish the Kaaba. And he did. And by the way, if you look at the corners of the Kaaba, they are facing exactly the corners of the whole world, the four corners. By fraction of millimeter. By fractions of millimeter. How they did it? Did they have any devices or any architecture plan ordered from somewhere? No. The guidance of Allah, the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will do, help us, this is the reward for you. And after they were done, Ibrahim alayhi salam was looking and saying, but Ya Allah, this is for what? You order me to establish this. Ya Ibrahim, for Hajj. Say, what Ya Allah? Hajj. What Hajj Ya Allah? People would come from everywhere to have the tawaf and to perform that fifth pillar of Islam. Thousands of years before Muhammad came, thousands of years before that fifth pillar of Islam has ordained upon Muslims. And Sayyidina Ibrahim also was wondering, people are coming from the four corners of the world. This is the ayah. وَأَذِّنْ فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. And you call people from the four corners of the world. They come either traveling or walking or utilizing any means of transportation, but they will come to perform Hajj and they will see something to benefit them, they enjoy, and so on and so forth. Ibrahim heard it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but kept wondering how people of the whole world would hear. They say, hey people, Hajj! How far? How many miles? In a radius of 1 mile, or 2 miles, or 3 miles, or 10 miles. They were talking about thousands of miles. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered him in a very, very beautiful way, miraculous way. Ibrahim, عليك النداء وعلينا الإجابة. You do your best. I'm telling you to do this. Leave the rest for me to do. This is not your business. Just call for Hajj. You see miraculously how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is helping his cause. Because sometimes when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us today, as if we're speaking September 20th of 2014, Allah is telling me something to do. I say, Ya Allah, wallahi, this is too much for me to do. Can you do it? No, go do it. Leave the rest for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do your homework first. Don't complain. Don't argue with Allah. If it is this, okay, Allah, I will do my best. Whatever. In my ability, capability, mentally able, psychologically, emotionally, I will do my best and I'll leave the rest for you, Allah. You take care of your deen or Islam or our masajid here in Minnesota or somewhere else. Don't complain that it's too much to do. by the way, what we have here in many Muslim organizations. This is way. We're going to raise fund for 100,000 this year during Ramadan for this cause? No way! We're not the only one, there are many other masajid doing fundraising, many other organizations. You go do your best and leave the rest for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, and I'm making this oath by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometime in our Masjid Al-Iman, in the Islamic Community Center of Minnesota. And sometimes I discuss this matter with my dear brothers in here, is how much we need. And sometimes, Allah, as a human being, I have my shortcomings, I panic, I think, how we're going to support this project. And now we're having the entrance. The entrance is not done. We're adding 2 other bathrooms downstairs because we have only 2 ones there. It's not enough for our Sunday and Saturday school. We have 4 sessions, Saturday and Sunday. Many kids are lining up. I said, and I share with them, we're gonna go for it. Some of them, by the way, I'm not hiding anything. Sometimes they think I'm a crazy person. And alhamdulillah, I'm a crazy person. Like when we have our remodeling of our beautiful masjid. And some of them here, I'm not going to mention any name, they say, how we're going to do this? Are you sure? Are you sure 100% this is going to be done? One of them here, also I'm not going to mention his name, when he used to come there before the renovation, he went back home, couldn't sleep, he had nightmares. And the following day he would come and tell me, this is a cave. How we're going to do this? And wallahi, this is not my house. This is the house of Allah. And I do my best. This is do our best. It took us a while, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. And all of you were there, alhamdulillah, all of you, right? Right. How is it now?
Allah Akbar.
It's not done yet.
A wife and the treasurer not her husband, the treasurer giving me her time, but she's giving me her time. It's a business secretary. I can take it. And it is more than enough. And Allah is our witness. And He will bring all of us, wallahi, when it comes to the Islamic Community Center of Minnesota, Masjid Al-Iman. What did you do there? I will tell him, Ya Allah, with all of us, he used to be a mansion of one of the wealthiest people in Minnesota, and he put in his will to be converted to a church, and it was. It did not work out. They converted to a VA facility in order to make money out of it. It did not work. They were crazy enough. They said, we're going to have it as a nightclub. And they had it as a nightclub. Neighbors were after them. They shut it down after 2 weeks. But they want to do something about it. They found a wonderful group of Hindus. Are you willing, guys, to buy this building, utilize it as Hindu temple? Oh, yeah, and they got it. Hindu temple. Hindu people have their own and they want to leave. They do not want to have theirs in town. That's one of their tradition, have it somewhere else. They found a Buddhist group to have it as a temple. We're looking for a space because we were north in Minneapolis in Masjid Al-Ikhlas. We found the place. We came into the first second, wallahi. We entered there, I said, wallahi, this will be a house of Allah. And everyone around me said, wallahi, you are crazy. Wallahi, you lost your mind. Alhamdulillah, I'm still among you. I can take care of myself, being a psychotherapist, psychologist. Or I can go to somewhere else, take care of my, and I will be okay. I will give you the certificate. I'm still okay. Yes, it took us a while, years and years. But think of Sayyidina Ibrahim, think of Sayyidina Ismail, think of Hajar, think of Sarah. Think of how much of sacrifice we have to have. It would make you feel wonderful, feel good when you do something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is us here in this country. We need the help of Allah, but we have to do something first in order to prove to Him, Ya Allah, we're doing as much as we can. We have this sacrifice. We're patient enough. We obey you, so please help us. Miraculously, wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would help us. When it came the other day, to the carpet, and I was discussing the matter also with the troublemakers here. I'm going to mention the names. Where we're going to get the carpet from? Oh, here in Georgia, they have a factory. I didn't know. How about Texas? I didn't know. How about Afghanistan? The best carpet, by the way. One. No. How about Turkey? No. How about Iran? I said United States has a very bad relationship with the Iranian government. They won't allow to get. Where are you going to get it from? Say, from my own country, Egypt. Why? I'm disclosing now the secrets of the masjid. I have my family there. They would go to the headquarters of the factory. They would have discount of the month of Ramadan, and another discount building a masjid, in the United States of America, and a third discount because there was some connection. Alhamdulillah, it came to our door. Alhamdulillah. Don't ask me how much. So fine. But it is there, and everyone does enjoy it. And I claim that it is the best carpet in Minnesota. Well, give me a sister machine to see that. I know. Maybe somewhere else they would say, but I didn't know. And carry that concept of sacrifice deeply in your heart and your mind and your soul. Help around. Come forward. Learn from Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. I mean, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam in Mecca, and Ismail was born, and all of a sudden, a few days later, telling Hajar, Assalamu alaikum, I am leaving Mecca, going somewhere else. Ibrahim, as you give birth to Ismail, the gift from Allah, you're waiting for him for so many years. And in the middle of the desert, no vegetation, no food, no water, nothing. And you're leaving us in here alone, and you're leaving? I said, yes, Hajar. She asked him one question. Is it your opinion, your plan, or his plan? And he said, it is the later. I said, go. And wallahi, for any mom, please be honest. If your husband tells you that you give birth to your child in one of the best, clinics and hospital in here, everyone is around you, medical bills are going to be paid, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen. But I have, a business trip, and I will be back, you'll be okay. What your reaction would be?
I would say, how could you?
Jazakallah khair, sister. Very, very honest, answer. I'm here. Well, you're a child. I give birth to. Can you have a business trip? Cancel it. Postpone it. But for Sayyidina Ibrahim, no. Hajar, I'm leaving. Ibrahim, go. And in the middle of the desert, and a lady like Hajar would love to breastfeed her son. And no food, no drink, no water. How that child, a newborn baby, will survive? How? Ibrahim left, and Hajar kept running to find some water. Where? Between those who perform Hajj. What are the two mountains? As-Safa and Al-Marwa. Part of the rites and rituals of Hajj, we have to keep going back and forth 7 times. But wallahi, the majority of Hajjaj do not know why. We're cutting down Hajar when she was looking for water. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has miraculously given birth to Ismail. Also miraculously would provide her with food and drink and milk and everything. But she has to put some effort in order for Allah to reward. It's not that easy. Do something. And she would look, as we all know, it's almost half a mile between As-Safa and Marwa. She was looking up there, and she thought, could be some water there. But what she saw was what? Mirage. And from that, Al-Marwa, looking back to As-Safa, the same thing. Mirage. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Hajar, with the newborn baby, who just gave birth, she can't even, after how many days any lady would move out of her bed after giving birth? How many days? I'm not going to ask my wife. Because I know after how many days.
It's dependent.
It depends. C-section or normal delivery or what and so on and so forth. But he was jogging. By the 7th time, coming back to Ismail, the newborn baby, the miracle took place. Ismail was kicking the ground with his feet, back and forth, gushing water came out. Zamzam, which is an eternal well of Zamzam water till the day of judgment. Look at the miracles. Look at the reward. Look at how much of sacrifice. Ibrahim, you go. Allah will take care of us. This is the way. And just water. No food, no fruits, no nothing. Water from Zamzam, and you drink. You have enough milk. You breastfeed him, it will be fine. It will be fine. Think of the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you do something for him. He can do miracles for us for life. He can. Think about it. Think about it. Especially when we perform the Hajj, when I perform that as-sa'i between as-Safa and Marwa, as part of my Hajj, if I do not do it, my Hajj will never be valid anymore. Tawaf first, and then as-sa'i between as-Safa and Marwa, and then shaving the head or trimming the hair, whatever, and drink Zamzam water, and we're done. But millions and millions of Muslims, when they're going this way, so, oh, we're at the green light, by the way, in order to start jogging. We're at the end of it, oh, I'm so tired. You know, can I have a wheelchair for someone to... But we do not know the meaning, the wisdom behind what we're doing. Think of your mother Hajar and Ismail alayhi salam, what they were doing. Ibrahim left from Mecca, going to where? Palestine. And from Palestine to Iraq again. And from Iraq to Egypt. Did he have his own jet to travel? No, Allah, maybe some of you read the history really well. How he was traveling? How to do?
Is it camel? Camel?
No plane.
Among some stories, the history are saying he never had a camel. He never had a horse. But let's, for the sake of argument, transportation ways at that time, he had a camel. But to travel from Iraq to Palestine and Egypt and Mecca with a camel, and how long would it take him? And alone. And no wild animals to eat him up. No food with him. No water. It's the sacrifice.
90 years old.
A 90-year-old. Jazakallahu khair. This is the sacrifice. And everywhere he went, very successful. Never give up. Never. Never say it's too much. That's why in that wonderful spirit of Hajj, when we think about it, whether you performed before, or you're planning to perform, or you never done, but you think about it when it comes to the Hajj and sacrifice and Qurbani and so on and so forth. Think about all of this. Why in our Salah 5 times daily, when we perform our prayer, when it comes to tashahhud, remember, what do we say in the second half of it? اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على
إبراهيم
على
إبراهيم
وعلى آل
إبراهيم
اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على
إبراهيم
وعلى آل
إبراهيم
في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. Why not على آدم وآل آدم, موسى وآل موسى, نوح وآل نوح, Yusuf وآل Yusuf, and any of those prophets? Why Sayyidina Ibrahim in particular every day in our prayer? It's a reminder, performing your prayer, but remember Ibrahim. Remember Ibrahim. Copy him down. Learn from him. Learn how to sacrifice. Learn how to be obedient to Allah. Learn how to be patient. Learn how to do something for Allah no matter what. Whatever you can do. This is the concept. And this is what is really missing among millions of Muslims today. That's why you say, why we're too behind in science? Why we're too behind in development? Why we're too behind in industry? Why we're too behind in this and this and that? We're not taking our deen seriously. And with the depth knowledge of it, it is just rites and rituals. Like when someone, driver at school, they told me, you're driving, automatic, here's what you do. Here's what you do with your feet, with your hand, look around in the mirror. I don't have to know the mechanic of the car, but at least, the basic things I got to learn in order to understand what is going on around me. But most of the time, if even there is no enough oil in the engine or transmission oil, just take it to the mechanic, pay him, and he'll take care of it. Our deen cannot be fixed with the mechanic, with the transmission oil, with the engine oil. It got to be done by our mind as a gift from Allah, by our heart as a gift from Allah, by our soul as a gift from Allah, in order to be advanced and above everyone and ahead of everyone. This is the spirit of Hajj when we think about it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward those who performed Hajj before and plan for more to do. And for those who haven't done Hajj yet, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you, guide you, enable you to perform Hajj and have the benefits of it and have the wisdom behind it and learn something from it to apply it in your life, inshallah. At that point, I have to stop and I open the floor for your hot burning questions. If you do have good questions for me, hot burning question, I mean, it is in your mind for a while, you never even dare to ask them, or I'm wondering whom I should ask. I am here. If I do have the answer, I'll share with you. If not, I would say, I'm sorry, let me search. No question, it means you're super hungry and you get
Yes,
You prove to me, if you're hungry, are you ready? Are you ready?
I do have questions,
Yes.
but nothing to do with the Hajj. But you were mentioned about the Al-Iman Mosque. It was belong to wealthy person.
About
The Al-Iman Mosque.
the masjid, yes.
It was belong
Yes.
to wealthy person and then donated for church and then bought by such and such. Is right now we're using it as our masjid. Does that count as Amal Jariyah for him?
what?
Amal Jariyah. Jariyah.
Mr. What?
You know the Amal Jariyah?
To the owner, what's the owner's benefit now since now it's become masjid?
What is
The
The
owner,
owner?
yeah, the owner.
of the masjid?
Yep.
Don't you know? I'm the owner.
The original?
It's as a Amal Sodaqah Jariyah for him, for the owner.
So he
Can
did.
benefit from it.
We bought it from him.
Using it for the masjid.
Not the masjid bought it.
Is he getting a benefit because he was the original owner and now it's a masjid? Is he getting
He can get benefit from it.
Yes, like
You mean like ajr from Allah or money?
From Allah.
From Allah?
Yeah. As
No,
a
sister.
Sodaqah.
He got the money.
They sold it already.
No, I thought the first one he was donated for the church.
Oh, for his own church when he put it in his will to be converted to a church?
Yeah, but then now it's
That's
like
between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not in a position to say he could be rewarded from Allah as long as he donated his property, this mansion, to the church. Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. I cannot say anything about it. I can't. Jazakallah khair.
Is it to become masjid or?
No.
It is church
No,
first.
the owner donated for the people of his community to be church.
Yeah.
And then whoever was managing, it was his inheritors, al-waratha, his sons and
It's
daughters.
already sold, right?
Yeah, they were managing everything. And that's why they moved from a church to VA facility to a nightclub, and then they sold it to the group of the Hindu people, and then it was sold to the Buddhists. We purchased the place from last Buddhist people to be in our.
You already bought
Yes,
your own.
yes, we own it. I own it. No, I am the guarantor because a lot of people
Yeah.
say you're the one who own the masjid
Yeah.
and you manage this and that. No, absolutely.
Put my
no.
hand.
It was the only condition was twice organized Islamically. They wanted someone to be grantor. God forbid, if payment is not paid, they would come after me and my wife. And I said, okay, here's my house, this is what I own, here's my income, here's their income, I have to guarantor in here, and
Physical than mental.
human, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, whenever we behind, if we're behind, it's not my responsibility, it's your husband. So alhamdulillah, we're doing,
I have one
I'll show you what's up.
announcement.
Yeah.
Just to let you all of you know that Sister Ariati is leaving for the Hajj next Tuesday. She was here, she just left. So please pray for her to be Hajj Mabrurah.
who, Sister Ruby?
Sister
Ariati.
She was here before.
She was here?
Yeah, but she already left.
Just she, or she and,
Only her.
She's single.
oh, okay, okay,
She's been to our masjid several times, to Halakah.
okay.
Very big
She's
fan.
one of our.
Make a special dua for her, inshallah, inshallah, inshallah.
She's leaving on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So this is a question from someone who has not performed Hajj. I hope I'm so lucky to.
You haven't done
to be able to do it one day.
You already haven't?
Amen.
I'm not gonna talk to you till you perform.
Okay.
We can plan. No, please don't.
So it's beautiful listening to the meaning in the background.
The people always appreciate what I'm saying. Thank you.
Could it be said then that the essence of Hajj is the essence sacrifice, or is the essence of Hajj different for everybody?
This is a wonderful question, my brother Gary. You see me looking at the concept of Hajj, and I tie to the Hajj the concept of sacrifice, the patience, obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, individually what you do, family what you do, community what you do with the community. And this is the beauty of our deen and the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some people among us in here say, I would love to focus in that concept of obedience to Allah, because this is missing in my spiritual life. And I wanted to emphasize this one. Let me work on it because I feel that I'm missing this one. Or, why I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for so many years to have a child, but I'm not that patient enough. I will learn from Sarah and Hajj and Ibrahim, no matter what it takes. But I will work for it. Someone would say, that concept of sacrifice, I haven't sacrificed enough for my community. I haven't sacrificed enough for my husband, or my wife, or my children, or my community, or my masjid, or that Islamic organization. Pick up one of them, you really feel good about it, you would love to adhere into it. I say, I choose that area to do it. And of course, many Muslims